So I give Dan Campbell credit, the coach of the Lions, for at least being consistent to who he is. He did not change his philosophy in the most
I
important
guess.
game of the year. Should he have is a great conversation, and that's a real interesting question. Do you change your sort of philosophy for situational football? I would say you do, but in some ways I respect the fact that he was resolute on that. The interesting thing to me about both games is that if a couple plays flip, it could have been the Lions and Ravens in the Super Bowl.
Oh, sure, no
You know,
question.
that's kind of what's interesting is like there were moments in both games where it absolutely could have gone the other way. I thought the Ravens played terribly and they were still in the game. The Lamar interception late, obviously, I think sort of sealed it for the Chiefs, but both the Lions and Chiefs had absolute winnable situations in both games and didn't come through. I do feel heartbreaking for Lions fans because I think it's very, very tough for them today because after that first half, you had to think that that game was in your control and a couple of
Totally was.
Yes, a couple of things happened, fumbles and other stuff that just changed the complexion of everything in that game.
Here's the thing. Yesterday for the Detroit Lions was Cinderella. Okay, it was Cinderella. The pumpkin showed up at midnight.
Well, pumpkin showed up in the fourth quarter.
Well, okay, I don't care when it showed up, but the pumpkin showed up. This was the perfect. If you're sitting there, this was the perfect timing for the Detroit Lions for years to come. This was they won. This is a team that won 2 playoff games this year at home, and everybody will reflect for years and years and years how great Ford Field was. Were you there at Ford Field for the game against the Bucks? Yeah, I was. Were you there for Ford Field for the first game in 32 years? Yeah, I was. And this will be a storybook year forever.
I don't know about that, John.
For the Detroit Lions. I do. I mean, I only speak from experience of, look at the Toronto Maple Leafs and look at the world of Doug Gilmour and these guys. Storybook. Everybody in this town dreams of, wow, the great year Dougie had. Well, they didn't even get to the Stanley Cup final. And I think that's the Lions. I think that's the Lions this year.
I think if you're, I get it. It was a great year and it's a Cinderella year. No, I'm not arguing that. I just think if you're up 24-7 or whatever it was at halftime and you don't complete it, I think the year has a hard taste in your mouth. I speak of this as somebody who obviously
I agree.
Experienced so many rough Buffalo Bills losses. Yeah, in some ways there's nostalgia for the 4 Super Bowls. But I think if you ask a Bills fan, like the fact that like they lost that game to the Giants kills them. The Bills fans are going to lose, are not going to be sleepless the whole year with Tyler Bass's miss. I don't know. In some ways I'd rather lose 45-3 if I'm a fan than lose the way the Lions did.
No chance.
I don't know.
I have shudders with that.
But there's no satisfaction in their loss, John.
There's
no satisfaction at all.
There's no satisfaction ever in losing, Bob. Ever. There's no satisfaction ever in losing. But this way I think you can look at the season and say, wow, what a great year.
Well, you're going to do that no matter what happened in that game.
I want to go back to your point about the field goals. I think Dan, we've talked about Dan Campbell here for 3 years since he was the coach on Hard Knocks, and I kind of had a man crush on the Lions for that period of time because I thought it was cool. They became the NFL did a great job of pinpointing them and watching them grow. But he made a mistake. I'm sorry. When you are down by 3 at 27-24 and you can make a 44-yard field goal with a really good kicker, you take the kick. You take the field goal.
Yeah, but how many times did he do that? He did that 3 or 4 times during the game. He went on 4th down.
I'm talking. I know, but I'm talking situationally.
Yeah, but he doesn't look at it situationally.
Yeah.
Well, I think you have to at sometimes. You have to look at.
Well, that's what I tried to say. Did he or should he not have?
I think he walked away. You're right. I think he walked away from 6 points. I'm not sure they would have won, but they would have put the team in a more positive position I think there would have been a little more momentum. And as you guys both know, and now you may not agree, but the professional sports can be an emotional thing. And I think that gave the 49ers huge advantage by stopping them. And I think that put those 6 points on the board, and perhaps we're going to overtime.